It's now time for Punted, a podcast discussing the very latest in all things racing, including tips, giveaways and laughs. Here's your hosts, Scott McKinnon and Nathan Kendrick.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Punted podcast. Scotty, I'm really excited about our guest this week.
Yeah, very lucky guest too, I must say.
Yeah, Group 1 winner. We're talking about Grant Williams from Stable the Stars. Grant, thanks for coming on the show, mate, and congratulations on your Group 1 winner.
G'day, boys. Thanks so much for having you on, and thank you for the kind words.
I bet it's probably still feeling a bit surreal to you at the moment, obviously. For those who don't know, can you give us a bit of a rundown on what Stable the Stars is?
I had an idea quite a few years ago to try and find a way to get just the average everyday person involved in racehorse ownership in a way that wasn't micro-ownership and wasn't syndication. So I did 4 or 5 years research, launched last year and came up with a project that allows me to have really good quality top-class yearlings, have them on a lease basis, and offer them to just the average everyday person out there at a price that's affordable for them to get into. And the second part of the project is that we are just about to launch a monthly membership subscription that will allow anybody the chance to follow every horse that we have in the stable.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So obviously that's then taken you on to a massive journey so far. You're only a fairly new operation, and your first runner in your colours has been a Group 1 winner as well. So tell us a little bit about that. King Colorado winning the JJ Atkins, obviously that would have been a big thrill. So can you talk us through that a little bit?
I launched in April last year. We launched with 3 horses. 2 horses came to us from Sedgenhoe Stud in the Hunter Valley, the other from Gilgai Farm, only because those farm owners and the farm managers loved my idea. They thought it was really good for not only the breeding industry, but good for racing in general. So they offered me these 3 horses. King Colorado and my Hellbent filly were both valued at about $500,000 or $600,000 each, and I've got a Churchill filly that's valued at about $300,000 or $400,000. So I sort of fell on my feet getting really, really good quality stock. The way I got King Colorado was just a fluke. Peter O'Brien at Sedgenhoe Stud, as I said, he loved the idea. He had this Kingman colt that was born at Sedgenhoe and raised there, and it was owned by Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, part of the Dubai royal family. He had a little tiny X-ray problem, and they didn't think they would get the value at the Australian Easter sale that he was worth. So he went to the Sheikh and the Sheikh's representative in Australia and just said, look, I really like this project this guy's trying to do. Think it's great for everything. I would really love to offer him your Kingman colt as a lease prospect. And the Sheikh came back and said, yeah, I love anything that's going to help the sort of battling person that can't afford to get into big name ownership, and he gave the all clear for us to lease him.
Yeah, that's unreal. Just talking about the battling person, how many people are in King Colorado?
I have 47 owners. I split him up when we got him. I split him up into 100 little 1% parcels, and I offered him for $100 as a once-only fee, and that just helps me cover all the initial costs. And then they all pay about $20 a week for their 1%.
And they've won a Group 1.
Yeah, interestingly enough, out of those 47, I think there's 35 of them who have never owned a horse before. Wow. So the Group 1 winners were their first horse.
Yeah, you can't get much better than that.
No, and they all told me they couldn't afford to get into syndications. To get into a good horse with a syndication company, you've got to have...
Yeah. Oh.
You there, Grant?
So.
It just cut out a bit there, mate.
Yeah, sorry, I had a phone call coming in.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, so for the average sort of person, $100. So what was the sort of share percentages that people took? Was there a lot of 1%ers in it, or were there sort of people who took a bigger share than that?
I don't let anyone take more than 10%.
Yeah.
Because if you can afford 10%, you can afford a syndicate.
Yeah, that's right.
So the biggest shareholder I've got is 8%. I've got 4 people that have got 5%, and all the rest have got 1s and 2s.
Yeah. So how does that work from a lease perspective for people sort of, that are listening and they might want to get involved with Stable of the Stars? Can you just sort of give us a rundown on the leasing options and how that works?
Yep. Okay, so I have an agreement with the farm that leases the horse to us, usually a 3-year agreement with an option to extend for a further year. In the case of King Colorado, because we weren't paying $500,000 or $600,000 to buy him, we have to give a percentage of prize money back to the sheik and the farm.
Yeah.
So that just means that we work on a 25-75 basis. The farm gets 25% of prize money. We get 75% of prize money, and that's what we divide up into the 100 shares. So from Saturday, $600,000 first prize money. Racing Queensland will take out the splits for jockey, trainer, equine welfare, etc. Then we pay the 25% to the owner, and the rest of it is ours, and we just divide it by 100 and split it up between everybody.
Yeah, that's an unreal concept. The party must have been wild on Saturday night. 47 people jumping up and down.
It was pretty wild at Eagle Farm.
Yeah.
I had one of the guys I know at Racing Queensland was actually at one of the barrier attendants on Saturday. And he said to me that from the 1,600 metre start, when they crossed the line, he said he's never heard noise like it ever in his life. But most of us were going back home on the Saturday night because I've had people coming from 4 different states. I've got owners that are across every state of Australia, plus a couple in New Zealand. And we thought he would acquit himself well, but we never ever dreamed of winning. Otherwise, we would have stayed all weekend.
Yeah.
But when your horse is like the day before, he was $81 a win.
Shit.
Well, that's what I was about to ask. What was the sort of Mara and Eustace camp like leading into the race? Was there much confidence? Because for those who don't know, he came off the back of a Kembla Grange win and a maiden win at that. So was there much confidence in the camp leading into the race?
There was confidence for probably the last 6 or 8 weeks because he's still a great big baby.
Yeah.
Doesn't know what to do. It's all just on raw ability that he's doing this. So he ran 4th at his first start at Kembla and did really well. But Kieran Maher said to me after the race, he said, "Do you realise that horse just made 3 runs in that race?" He said, "It's really difficult for any racehorse to make 3 runs, let alone a 2-year-old. So then he went to Kembla in the maiden, 1,400. We stepped him up from 12 to 14. He drew barrier 13, so we're sort of a bit downhearted before we started. Raced 5 wide for the first 300 metres, then raced 3 wide without cover for the rest of the race, put them away at the top of the straight and was coming away on the line. And again, they said, watch the replay. He's made 3 runs. And that gave us all confidence. I was speaking with Joe, who is the assistant trainer at Warwick Farm, and I said, "Joe, he's a really nice horse, isn't he?" And he said, "Yeah, he is, but you wait till he finishes growing in 6 months' time and you wait to see what he can do in the spring." So that's really exciting.
Yeah, so do you have any, obviously you'd probably have a bit of a break now after winning that race, considering he's just won a Group 1 as a 2-year-old. So you mentioned the spring. Is that something that's on the cards at this stage?
It definitely is. One of the interesting things about King Colorado is that he's been in work since August last year.
Yeah.
So as a 2-year-old, he's been in work for 9 months, and I've never heard of that before.
They're good at doing that, Mara and Eustace, but they seem to be able to do that.
They're a genius stable.
Yeah.
The only break he had in that time was he went down to an equestrian farm for a couple of weeks and just did some dressage and equestrian work just to smarten his mind up.
Yeah.
But even now, when he's finished his preparation, and I said to them on Sunday, is he out for 4 weeks or 6 weeks or what's happening? And they came back and said, no, 2 weeks in the paddock, and that's it. Then he's coming back for 3 weeks pre-training, and all that will be in Queensland.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work the schedule at the moment. I've bought we have a Stable of Stars race day at the Sunshine Coast on the 30th of July, and I'm hoping that we can still have him in Brisbane, and I'm going to bring him out to the Sunshine Coast for people to meet him and have photos taken, have a pat.
Yeah.
And then we will be probably first up into a 1,200 metres, or if we don't do that, we'll be first up into the Golden Rose. over 1400, and that's 3 weeks into the Caulfield Guineas. And if he performs well in the Caulfield Guineas, then we may even look 2 weeks later at the Cox Plate.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. He's a mass. Obviously, he's a very exciting horse for the future for you guys. And have you got many other horses that are about to run?
I've got the two others that I launched with King Colorado are probably a few weeks away from a barrier trial.
Yeah.
One's a staying type, so we've actually think that she's a horse that can be aimed at the cups as a 3, 4 and 5-year-old. Good Oaks type filly. But I've now gotten 12 horses in the stable, and the other 9 horses I'm selling into at the moment. And there's a range of horses there. I've got 2 in Queensland. I've got one with Jack Bruce, which is a Merchant Navy filly. She's been broken in, had a first prep and going really nicely. We've got a D'Argento filly that will be with Paul Shaler, and Paul Shaler's just acquired some boxes in the new Gold Coast stable. Yeah.
Did he?
I've got 3 horses coming over from New Zealand. Cambridge Stud really liked the project, and they've said to me, Grant, you can have our best fillies every year from now on. So they're sending me over a Castelvecchio, a Piero, and a Dundeel, who have all got amazing pedigrees, and they're with John Sargent at Randwick. And we're going to aim them at the 3-year-old classic, so Oaks-type fillies. And I have 4 in Melbourne. I've got 4 with Lloyd Kennywell and Lucy Yeomans. I've been able to acquire them through Trilogy. And I've got 2 yearlings, a Zoostar, who's a brilliantly bred Zoostar and a Pride of Dubai. And I've got 2 2-year-olds, a Tavistock filly named Perfect 10. She's a full sister to Asterisk, who won the New Zealand Derby last year. Got a beautiful pedigree. And the other one is an Ocean Park filly named Ocean Motion. And she's a half sister to Cucaracha that you guys should know, won the Queensland Derby.
Yeah.
And also won a group race a couple of weeks ago, I think, 4th in the Denver Cup or something as well.
Yeah.
So I've got some beautifully bred fillies, and that's what we're trying to do. We only want to take the top quality stock. I've been offered 140 horses to lease in the last 12 months.
Yeah. Right.
So we've got a really strict criteria. So that's good for the owners too. So anybody who joins us in an ownership knows that they're actually getting into a really good quality horse where all the checks have been done and all the criteria have been followed.
I was going to say, it's a bit of a win-win situation, because obviously the owners coming into the horse, they have every opportunity for the horse to be sort of those Group 1 winning horses as we've seen. But as well as that, the studs, if they're a leased horse, it works out well for the studs too, because then they can breed from them after their racing career.
And that's exactly what I'm doing with this project. Part of my research was talking to a lot of farms and studs, and I had so many general managers and owners of those farms who said to me, Grant, we've always got fillies that we're willing to lease, but the people who want to lease them in general just really don't know what they're doing, and all they want to do is have a free horse.
Yeah.
So I've changed that around, and I'm working with my trainers to make sure that we can plan strategies for each horse so that we give the farms back a filly at the end of 3 or 4 years that's worth considerably more than when we got her. And if we can do that, then the farms are already been, ringing me in the last 3 or 4 days saying, congratulations, when can we start giving you horses? And that's amazing. It's just so good to hear.
Yeah, I guess it's a win-win for both people. Like, the studs are winning when your horse is winning a Group 1 and it goes back to them, and your owners are also winning. So it's a great concept that way, Grant.
Yeah, and that's the way it's being accepted.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be... What I need to do with any new business, you need to build honesty and integrity into the business as well. And we're finding that that's going awesome. Before I launched those Cambridge stud fillies about 4 weeks ago, I went out to my ownership group that's there at the moment. I just said, look, we've got some new people coming in who don't know us because we've done no advertising, no marketing, no nothing. So I just said, if any of you would like to just write a sentence or 2 down to make those people feel a bit more comfortable, it may help them, to get involved. 24 hours later, I had 9 pages worth of testimonials.
Yeah, right.
It's just been amazing.
So going back to King Colorado, Grant, what happens, obviously he's won a Group 1, so he's definitely worth something as a stallion prospect, especially if he goes on to win another Group 1 as well as a 3-year-old. So what happens there in the case of him being sold to a stud? So do the owners then get the 75% money that he would sell for at stud, or is that no, that goes directly back?
It's only race prize money.
Yeah. Okay.
The biggest concern my owners had on Sunday, and I had quite a few ring me, is, Grant, we've won a Group 1. Does that mean they're going to take him off us after his 3-year-old season and retire him to stud then? But I actually rang the Sheik's representative and I said, I know you wouldn't do that, but this is what people are asking me.
Yeah.
And he floored me with his answer. He just said, Grant, we would never, ever take him off you early. And he said, I'm really certain that if he's going well and you want him for that extra year, he said, I'm certain that the Sheik would say, yes, that's fine.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the back end of that was, he said to me, you've got no idea. He said he might be a Sheik, he might be part of the royal family. He said, but he watched the race on Saturday. He said he wanted me to personally congratulate you, send his best wishes to all the owners. And he said, we've got 2 fillies sitting on the farm at the moment worth $500,000 each. And he said, as far as he's concerned, you can have them too.
Oh, awesome. Doesn't get much better than that.
No, business is booming.
Well, yeah. I've had people ringing me from 7 a.m. till 11:30 p.m. every night since then. But, boys, can I just say that I couldn't have done this without help from some people? Am I allowed to mention some of the people that have helped me?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
I've got a team of 6 people.
Yeah.
I went out because I knew that I didn't have any skills in social media or digital media or PR or anything like that. So I went out talking to people that I had been, recommended to about the project and would they join my team. And they've all got full-time jobs. They've all been on my team for 2 or 3 years helping me get it off and running. They don't get paid. I give them a little clip of the membership fees and I give them a percentage in every horse that we've got. And they've been just absolutely amazing. With those first couple of horses, I didn't have a database. I had no one to promote them to. And Dean Evans from Winning Edge Investments, I went out looking for a tipping service that I thought was the best and had the best integrity. And my research showed me that Winning Edge Investments was the best. And I approached Dean over a coffee. He said, yeah, I love the idea. We'll jump in. And he allowed me to promote 2 of those horses to his database. So most of the owners in King, Colorado are members of Winning Edge Investments.
Yeah.
So that's been amazing.
Yeah.
Geez, with that, there must have been a few big collects over the weekend then.
You know what? My owners, when there was in the process of getting into the JJ, we had nominations, first acceptances and second acceptances over about a 4-week period. When we nominated, and I told the owners we'd nominated, he was listed at 100 to 1, so they all went out and backed him at 100 to 1. I had some owners who got 150 to 1. So they were putting on $20, $50, $100 here and there. We were 99th in the order of entry at nomination time. First acceptances, we came down to 49th because a number of horses didn't accept. So my owners went in again and he was still 100 to 1. And these are all battlers who are just putting on $10, $20 when they can afford it.
Yeah.
And then the Saturday before second acceptances, which was the Saturday race meeting before, we were 21st in the order of entry and 2 horses on that day leapfrogged us. So we were 23rd, 18-horse field. We had to have 5 horses pull out for us to get in, and 5 of them did, and we were the last horse into the field. Jesus. So I've got owners who over the time have, put $50 on and got $5,000 back, and put $100 on and get $10,000 back. The biggest win I've heard is $60,000 from my owners. They spent $600 over a period of 4 weeks and collected $60,000. But there's some nice stories in that too. I had a guy. I've got one of my owners is 77 years old, and he rang me yesterday, and he was nearly in tears because his wife hasn't been very well. And so he said he backed him, he won some money, and with the prize money they're going to get, his wife can actually have the medical treatment that they need.
Yeah, that's great. That's what racing's all about too, isn't it? Stories
so,
like that.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you know, Nathan, that I actually rang your dad this morning.
Yeah, he did say that, yeah.
Stuart was one of the first people that I went to in Queensland to talk to about the project, and I hadn't launched it. It was still an idea in my head, and he was really supportive of it. So we're going to build a little stable with Stuart. We've also got Jack Bruce up there and a couple of other trainers, Billy Healy and James Moore. But we're going to try and build a little mini stable of 6 horses with Stuart. And yeah, we'd like to sort of see if we can actually maybe have a punted podcast horse.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That we can get into. Win a Group 1 with you guys.
That'd be awesome.
Sure.
That'd be awesome.
Find us a Group 1 winner. Me and Nathan yet to feel that success yet.
Yeah.
We've had a few horses. Was that have you been in racing before that, your concept grant? Have you had other shares?
I've been in a couple of little syndicates many, many years ago, but I was only a little 2.5% guy.
Yeah.
And I always felt like I didn't belong, didn't get treated very well. The reports and stuff weren't real great. And sometimes when you can only afford those little percentages, the horse you're getting into is pretty crap.
Yeah.
So your chances are gone from the start. So that was part of the impetus for me to get this going.
Yeah, I was about to say, so was that one of the reasons you sort of wanted to get Stable of Stars up and running?
Yeah, exactly right. And look, my whole working life has been about working with community groups and, just training, coaching, mentoring people. And I get a real buzz out of someone when they're getting a buzz.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not about the money. We don't make any money on the leases at all. In fact, any money that's left in the bank account each year of the lease, I just give it back to the owners.
Yeah.
And everybody loves that because it's just upfront. If I'm an ordinary bloke, I want to do the right thing by other ordinary people as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. So is there any other horses that you're leasing now that people can get involved in?
Yeah. Well, I've still got some spots in the 9 that I've got.
Yeah.
The 3 in Sydney with John Sargent and almost full. We're selling those as a package deal.
Yeah.
Because they're 3 stayers heading to the Oaks. I got a beautiful Merchant Navy filly with Jack Bruce in Brisbane at Deegan. And he also has his stables at the Sunshine Coast as well. So she's really affordable. She's $100 to get in and $75 a month for 1%. I've got a really nice D'Argento filly that Paul Shaler's going to bring to the Gold Coast. He's only $50. She's only $50 to get in and $60 a month for 1%. And probably the 4 in Melbourne are the other ones that are beautiful. We're selling those as 2 horse packages or individually, depending on what people want. And you can get into those for $75, $100 and $80 a month.
So what would be the process if someone's listening now? What would be the process for them to get involved?
The best way is just to jump on our website. So it's just stableofstarsracing.com.au. Jump on there. You'll see the horses that are on there. You can make an inquiry through the horse or just go to our contact page and send an inquiry through. I'll ring you directly. I do everything myself. I've got my team of 6, but I make sure that I do everything with the owners. I just believe everybody needs to feel really special.
Yeah.
So I'll pick up the phone and give you a call, have a chat. I've actually said to a number of people who have rung me and said, at that price I can afford 2 or 3 parcels. And my advice to those people is, well, why don't you spread your risk?
Yeah.
Why don't you take 1% in
ones.
2 or 3 horses?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you can have a lot more fun.
That's right, yeah.
And if you guys have got anybody who wants to be a member, I'm more than happy to do a special deal with anyone who contacts me and says, I'm listen to the boys on the Punted podcast and I want to be a member. And the membership was $33 a month.
Yeah.
But I'd be happy to give your listeners, first month free, and then we'll reduce the monthly membership to $9.90.
Yeah.
And that allows them to have a proper ownership account with Prism. Normally you have to be an owner to have a Prism communications account. But I've done a deal with Prism. They love the idea. So they've said all of your members can have their own owner's account with their own login. And that just means you get access to every horse we have in our stable Australia-wide. You'll get all the trainers' updates. You'll get all the jockeys' news. You'll get all the track work reports. We'll take you to race days and all the special events we're doing, stable visits and the whole lot. And what the owners tell me the best thing is that they get a bit of the inside mail, so they're able to find out for anybody else which horses are right.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
So yeah, if anyone wants to jump on the website, you can join there or flick me an email and I'll fix it all up for you. We're probably not ready to actually start that membership for a week or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're jumping out there. We're going to run a competition for all new members too. So everybody who joins as a member, we're going to give a share away in 3 of our horses from this year. So
yeah, awesome. No, well, I think it's a great incentive to get involved in, especially for people listening, because obviously the people listening, they like to have a bet and they like to follow the racing. So it's definitely a good concept to get behind.
Yeah, I've got my owners at the moment. They have me in tears because they're writing to me and calling me saying, Grant, you've changed my life.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, I've got a guy who lives in Melbourne in his 30s who's had 7 shares in 7 horses before and never had a winner.
Yeah.
And now he's had a horse with 3 starts, had a winner and
a Group 1 winner. Yeah, wow.
Like you say, Grant, half of them owners probably didn't even realise the magnitude of a Group 1 win. It's hard enough to win here on a Sunday, let alone a JJ Atkins.
And that's the hard thing with racehorse ownership. You know, people don't understand that more than half of all the foals that are born every year never even get to the track.
Yeah,
that's right.
So if you're, and then of that percentage, you've got a whole big percentage of them that never win a race anywhere. And so if you're being asked to spend $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to buy a share in a horse, that's a huge risk in today's climate, anytime, especially today.
Yeah.
So all I'm trying to do is let's reduce that financial risk to something you can afford, and let's increase the chances of getting to the track and winning some nice races because we're only accepting those really, really good quality young horses.
Yeah. No, well, it's been great to chat with you, Grant, and I hope people that are listening get involved too. And we look forward to the Punted Podcast horse as well. That'll be interesting.
Going.
Well, that could be sooner than you think, so let's see what we can do.
Awesome.
And I'm happy to talk to anybody who's out there listening. So,
no, we appreciate you coming on, Grant, and congratulations again.
Yeah, good on you, Grant.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Scotty.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Bye.